My name's Master Bombardier Lucas Deneboom. I'm a percussionist in the Royal Canadian Artillery Band, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a drum kit. So the first thing you're going to set up are your bass drum, your hi-hat, and your drum stool. And you want to set your drum stool at a height so that when you rest your feet on the pedals, your thighs are at a slight downward angle to the ground. Also, your bass drum should be angled slightly to the right, which will allow your foot to rest on the pedal without having to twist your leg unnaturally. These two steps are going to allow you to stay relaxed at the kit and to play either heel up or heel down, depending on the music. We're going to start with just the snare drum. Place the drum directly in front of you and centered between your legs. When you hold the sticks naturally, the tip of the stick should land right in about the middle of the drum. You want the drum to be slightly angled towards you. If it's not angled enough, you're going to hit the rim accidentally. Oops. If it's angled too much, you won't be able to play a rim shot. What? When the drum is angled just right, you'll be able to play either rim shots or center hits with very little effort. Whoa. Now let's move on to the rack tom. We're going to place the rack tom as close as possible and centered on the snare drum. The goal is to be able to hit the rack tom with either hand and also to move between the two drums with as little motion as possible. We're also going to angle the rack tom slightly more than the snare drum. This is going to produce the best sound, while also enabling us to move back and forth between the two drums without hitting the rim. Now let's move on to the floor tom. Place the floor tom close enough to the snare drum so that you can play it with either hand. The floor tom should also be at the same height or slightly lower than the snare drum so that you can move easily between all three drums. Finally, let's place the cymbals. We'll start by placing the crash cymbal just to the left of the rack tom and close to the hi-hat. Now we're going to bring in your ride cymbal. Start by holding out your hand in a handshake gesture. Then, place the stick in your hand in a loose grip. Notice that in this neutral position, the stick naturally slopes upward. Also notice how much strain it puts on my wrist and my arm to reach down further. Place the ride cymbal so that it rests just below the tip of your stick when you hold it in this neutral position. This will minimize the amount of effort that it takes to play. As you can see, there's a lot more to setting up a drum set than meets the eye. Now every drummer and every drum set is a little bit different, so in the end, you can just follow these three basic guidelines. Rule number 1, keep everything fairly close together. It may look really cool, but the further you have to move to get around your kit, the slower and less efficient you're going to be. Rule number 2, set the angle of your drums and cymbals to match the natural angle of your stick when you reach for those instruments. Ooh. Rule number 3, don't be afraid to experiment a little with your setup. Changing things around may feel uncomfortable at first, but the only way to find the best setup for you is to experiment. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe for more content. Follow us on Facebook to stay up to date with the RCA Band.